All right, so we're looking at the opening sequences of Metropolis here. And the first thing we notice is that the film introduces us to the world on the broader sense. It's very important that we are familiar with how shift change, which is really what this sequence is called, and how it works. And of course, it's very, very stylized, which is main part of the German expressionist way of filmmaking. The movement of the men here, of course, in that sort of dehumanizing way, the speed of the men going into shift change compared to the speed of the men coming out, having done their shift. And if we think back to an earlier moment there, we see that rather disarming clock that works on a 10-hour time frame. So knowing that time is a controlled part of the world for these men. And that is one of the keys when we come to the comparison. So consider shift change as a very sort of important element to think about in terms of visuals and the way in which the representation of the visual occurs. The men, of course, coming down and down into the space here. And eventually we start to see scale. Now this film is all about creating the idea of scale and how scale impresses the audience. Most importantly here, and you can see light and dark shadows on the buildings here, creating an illusion that this place is elongated, is stressed, is strange. So consider shift change as a very, very important motif to talk about. The first card here, the one explaining the pleasure gardens as it moves up into the new world and has that pyramid triangular shape, is in direct contrast, of course, to shift change. Another key moment of the film in its early stages is to consider the molloch scene, which is also very famous and something that sort of transforms this film beyond just being an ordinary piece of work. The man-eating machine here, and taken in all seriousness, Frieda's realization of what's going on below him in the pit as this monstrous beast, which has caused a rather serious industrial accident, which creates an empathy in Frieda. Helps us to understand what's going on in terms of it being expressionistic. Everything is representative, everything is there for symbolism. Now, most of us these days would consider this rather trite, but in 1927, it's a very clever way of suggesting what world Frieda is seeing and what ideas Frieda is seeing.